Hello and welcome to day 11 of the Makeshift Marblympics. You join us poolside for synchronised diving, where our marbles will be jumping not from board 1, not from board 2, not from board 3, not from board 4, not from board 5. Oh, no, actually, sorry, from board 5. They'll be competing in pairs and will be judged on execution and synchronisation relative to difficulty. And they'll each get a score out of 20. You may see a few nations with a staggered entry like that. That's perfectly legal, and it's very together there from the Chinese up until the last moment, that is. But with a relatively simple routine, they kick us off with a fairly mediocre score of 15.5. USA go for a simultaneous entry, don't quite pull it off. I need to recover quick for this difficult routine. They do well, but can't quite finish it together. They've lost a few points there, so they can only match China's 15.5. Vatican City are no strangers to little bowls of water, but it's quite messy there, and not a particularly difficult routine. So a very disappointing 14.5. This is a tidy start from Great Britain. A split contour, followed by a reverse semi-demi-quaver, and a solid finish. That'll give them a good mark. And look at that, a 10 out of 10 for synchronicity. Not the most difficult routine, but they've really set the pace with a 17.5. The scoring system of diving is notoriously complicated. That's why our judges, like Mr. Monkey here, have simplified it for us for these games. This was him just watching that Great British dive. Whoosh! And I think he might want to find somewhere else to stand. Now, I must admit I didn't have high hopes for this event. I figured each of our marbles would simply fall straight down into the water. You know, what with gravity and that. But somehow, and I just can't quite figure it out, these marbles managed to do all sorts of flips and tricks in the air. Uzbekistan could have done with a few more of them though if they wanted to separate themselves from the pack. Yet another 15.5. This is a golden opportunity for Canada, with the other 3 top 4 teams struggling to impress. But they're not able to take it and register the lowest score so far. Good diving relies heavily on gravity, and of course it was Brazilian inventor Sir Isaac Newton-John who first introduced gravity to the world. Since then, the sport has been revolutionised. The Brazilians can't quite manage a revolution this time, but 17's a good score, and it puts them in second place. That's a very tight start from Australia, with a half-pipe Benny Risler tuck to follow, a nice crisscross grover, but a bit of hesitation at the end may have cost them some points. Yet another 15.5, and the Australians will be flipping themselves. So here's how things stand at the midway stage. Can anybody knock Great Britain off their perch? Colombia have a long history of diving and even claim to be the originators of the sport, suggesting that their early hunter-gatherer civilization turned the daily chore of dive fishing into a competitive sport. But an untidy performance has let their ancestors down, registering just 15 points. Of course, the earliest recorded dive was performed by Jürgen Klinsmann in China in 3000 BC. That wasn't great from Russia, all over the place from start to finish, and it scores them just 13 points, putting them rock bottom of the standings. That's a sloppy start from India, and a floppy middle, and a ploppy end. They pick up just 10.5 points. Very poor. A nice staggered entry from Japan, a very interesting take here, and that's a lovely exchange at the end with a near perfect drop. And you must say that dive was heading nowhere spectacular until the end there, where they may well have just about won themselves a medal with that scintillating finish. And speaking of scintillating finish, it looks like Mr. Monkey has learnt his lesson, and he's about to give us a quick demonstration of how he calculates those complicated scores, and then translates them into simple numbers for us plain folk to understand. Just 4 more to go, hang on in there. Ethiopia open with a half-pipe hook-me-up, but they full-blown muck it up. Not a difficult routine, yet their execution and synchronicity were both lacking. That's an interesting entrance from Kenya, a lovely tummy wobble exchange, working well together, and a poor entry to the pool. That'll cost them some points. So close to spectacular, but they walk away with nothing. South Africa have been performing really poorly at these games, and nothing's changed so far. A really torrid dive. Kersploosh! Double kersploosh! And for anyone who doesn't know much about diving, here's my beginner's guide. Big splash means big fail. Tuvalu need to score at least 17 if they want to win a medal. It's a lovely dive so far, absolutely adorable. They finish well, but it's not quite enough to win them a medal. Which means... God save our gracious Queen, long live
the Queen. Pa, 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 send her victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save the Queen.
See you tomorrow for hurdles.